Alright, today we're having a look at the Pilgrim by Narvik Guten and Majons Kongen. Alright, so here we are in the Pilgrim by Narvik Guten and Majons Kongen, and this was actually shared with me by Narvik. I hope I'm getting that name right. Moonlight Tower. The level description does say that don't expect the journey to be a short one, which does worry me just a little bit. It's simply because time. Time is always an issue. Oh, but it looks very, very nice so far. I'm liking the music as well. Got some chill music going on here. Oh, I just grabbed that? Like, no problem? Okay. I mean, that makes me happy. I was afraid maybe I would need the long jump for that. There is a show controls, as you can see in the lower left corner. Now, I've got a weird thing with Dreams where it won't show this in the video, but it does kind of cut things off on the actual screen itself. Alright, so we've got an automatic grab that is so useful. I'm glad that that is a feature. I'm also, like, I'm just hoping that I can show as much as possible. Nice semi-locked camera there. I appreciate that as well. We've talked before about having a lock on the camera can make things a little bit easier on the players to figure out where they're supposed to be going. Nice little contraption going on here. And I wonder if we're going to visit that pirate ship in the background at any point. Hard to say. Fingers semi-crossed. L2 plus X. Okay. So they are letting us know when we're going to need these things. That's a backflip, so we need to be facing the other way. I did actually... Excuse me? I did actually test that before starting recording. Nice moon, by the way. XXX. I'm pressing XXX. XXX. Oh, kind of, I guess. That's interesting, the timing there. I kind of wish that they had like a sound cue, kind of... Excuse me? Hello, but excuse me, I'm afraid that I actually made that jump by actually... Hello? Jumping on the chain. Why did we not get... Well, whatever. We're not gonna worry about it. It's 2:30, not in the afternoon, but like 2 minutes 30 seconds have passed, and we're not even up the tower yet. I mean, it's not bad. Just might mean that we don't show much more than the tower, and that would be a shame, but such is life. I am loving that moon. I really am. It is slick. Oh my god, that is a very beautiful butterfly. This butterfly is being chained. That is not right. You don't chain butterflies. Are we gonna go someplace? Or is it a moth? It could be a moon moth. You gotta watch out for those moon moths because, you know, they could be shady. Some of the moon moths, I mean, most moon moths, absolutely cool people. Moths, but people. But every now and then you run into a shady moon moth. Maybe a dark side of the moon moth. Monmotha? Chow! Can we swim? Okay, yes we can. Thank goodness, because we didn't make that jump. Hidden lake! Hide me lake! I like this water. Look at that swimming effect. We're doing a swim. Wait, I hear a timer. Also, I know this music because we use this music in our hub. Why is there a timer? Also, like, music, but very cool that our hub music is actually here. Hello, there's a chest. This chest has my name on it. Gold found. Am I looking for gold? I mean, I'm kind of looking like a minor 49er, but at the same time, hello? What is with the ticking? There is a clock ticking. I'm not, so I can't grab on that, I guess. That's not what we're intended to do. I mean, it looks like now the ticking is stopped. The fudge? Hello? Do we? Now the ticking has started. It's bright. It's brighter than it was. Oh! maybe we need to light all these, and that's what the ticking means, is that they all need to be lit at the same time. Oh, fudge! Okay, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna go back to the hub, because time is... well, that's our time. Light the lantern. That could have been made a little bit more obvious, I think. There we go. Alright, let's get back up to here, and yes, we're gonna take a look at this back to the hub, but we'll see you there. See yas! And we're back, and the Pilgrim by... I don't want to screw up the name. Narvikuten and Majones Kongen. And I would say it's a hello door, open, please. We have to show the viewers what's going on. It's a very, very solid yellow square. I wouldn't quite put it into green circle territory, although I do think it's a great level. It's a really beefy creation. I shouldn't just say level, it's a really beefy creation. The second time through, I could have probably gotten a better time than this. I was doing a little bit poking around. The second time through, I ended up with 25 minutes on the clock. The first time through, about like 26 minutes on the clock. So, I mean, you're looking at a fairly significant time investment, and I'm sure that there was a lot of time invested in getting this level, this creation looking the way it does and playing the way it does. It is really, really good. But there are, as I said, there are a few points that I would say kind of bring it down. On the positive sides, I really like the character of the Pilgrim himself. I thought it was well animated, particularly the look of it is okay, but the animations I thought really sold it. There's some really good idle animations in there where Pilgrim will take off his hat and kind of hold it up into the breeze, check his clock, fall asleep. The fact that there was a couple of idle animations in there I thought was really nice. Usually we're lucky if we get just one. Movement animations as well, and just the movement abilities for the most part, or the abilities of the Pilgrim for the most part, were pretty cool. I really liked the flame dash that you get maybe about like 3/4 through the section. I thought that was quite cool. The lightning blast as well, I thought was a really, really nice effect. It was really nicely animated. Generally, the jump animations as well were pretty strong, although I did find like that triple jump was, as far as the gameplay sense, actually getting it to do what it needed to do. I had a hard time with it. I had a really hard time getting the timing of that, when I was supposed to hit the jump to actually get the next one in sequence. Luckily, you only ever have to use that one once. So there's that, and that does kind of come up a couple of times. Environmentally as well, it's a beautiful level for the most part. I mean, there are some things that are a little bit more standout than others. I really, really like the fireflies in the first tower that we're in, and the moon moth. The moon moth is absolutely beautiful. We see that at the beginning, and depending on which ending you'll pick, that we talk about that in a minute, you'll see the moon moth again at the end. Oh, it's so beautiful. The water effects as well. I think this is some of the best water that I've seen in games so far, like the standing water. We saw in that kind of pool section in that second area that we were in. We'll see it come up a little bit later in a side-scrolling section as well, and it looks really, really nice, and a lot of these areas do look really nice. Now, there is one thing that I noticed, and that the dark areas are really quite dark, I found, and I was kind of spamming the lightning attack just for the extra lighting that came off of that, so I kind of see what was going on around me. The Into the Abyss section, after you actually first get your lightning ability, I thought was maybe the worst offender, but there are a number of other sections in the creation where I just felt that it could have turned up the brightness just a touch, have a little bit of extra lighting in there, so I didn't feel like I had to do all the lighting work myself. That was a bit of a downside. One thing I want to point out, although unfortunately I still haven't gotten the hub so that I can actually show this to you or play this for you, because I don't know how to turn off the music yet in the hub, but I thought that the music was really, really well chosen. I thought it was a very solid musical tracks for each different area. There's another tower that you come up into later on. It's this kind of like yellow world tower, and that itself is really cool. There's some really nice effects in there, like the bridge that is building itself as you're crossing. We'll see that effect later on in the game as well. I thought it was really, really good. But the music there is really great. It's got the Silent Hill-esque vibe going to it, and I thought that was particularly well done, and I thought it was a good choice for that section. As far as the gameplay, and for the most part, I found myself enjoying the gameplay a fair amount when it was in the platform mold, and I thought that was kind of the best of it. It does fairly well in that platforming section. You got two types of platforms. You got a few that are with fixed camera, and I think that the fixed camera ones were really the best. You see that in the very beginning section that we were in that the tower spiraling up around the tower. There's a later couple of sections as well that are more kind of old school platform and feel, where you've got a fixed on the side camera. I thought that worked fairly well. Areas that had a free-flowing camera where you could just control it with the right stick, and I found those to be... I find that particular camera in general, and I've mentioned this in a number of episodes, I do find that camera to be a little bit more trouble than it's worth in the end, so there is that. The platforming bit in the end of the game I thought was really cool. It kind of harkened back to old school platformers, and there's a number of places where you're grabbing onto kind of flame ropes. They look like flame ropes, and they're on conveyors, and you've got to jump from one rope to the other, and I thought that was a lot of fun. It reminded me of Super Mario World, so that's going back. Not Super Mario Brothers, this is after that Super Nintendo Super Mario World, but it was very reminiscent of that, and I thought that was really, really cool. The combat sections were okay, I guess. There's a couple with the free camera combat sections where you're fighting these like soot spiders with skull heads, and basically you just need to zap them with your electricity attack, because electricity attack is kind of an area effect, you can't really miss them. It's not that difficult. There is the top-down twin-stick shooter section as well. That was, like, I mean, it was cool, but I kind of felt like if they had wanted to go with that element for this creation, that it should have been maybe better supported. Have another couple of stages that focused on that effect, so it wasn't just like a one and done. It is really well done where it is, and the fight on the stained glass I think is really, really cool, but it just kind of like, it felt plopped in. It felt a little bit out of place for the flow of everything else, and it should have been, I think, a little bit better supported. And speaking of combat, so you get to the end of the creation, and it's just the end of the creation. You'll be given a choice, which path you want to choose. The first time I chose, it was the path of the void. Embrace the void, and you get like a little tiny cutscene. This time I embraced the moon, and you get like a much nicer cutscene that's got the moon Mothman, and we kind of chill, we share a moment. Like that bit is kind of cool, but there's no real like. There's a bit of an indication that you're coming to the end, because you do kind of come to the castle, but there's no kind of gameplay feeling of end. Now, talking about utilizing elements that we've utilized before, we've introduced combat in the creation 3 times already. You fight one soot spider, and then a couple of levels later, you fight a group of soot spiders, although you're only fighting one at a time. And then you've got that top-down combat section, so it's like there is combat in the creation. And I guess just kind of, as a player, I kind of expect, well, if we've had combat so far, then probably there's going to be some kind of final boss, some last challenge before, the game, the creation actually ends. But there's not. And that kind of, it felt a little bit off to me. Like there was no, like last challenge to really sell it. You just kind of finish the final platforming bit. You go to the castle, you open the castle up, and basically you're done. and that's it. So though, I mean, it was kind of a weird choice, but I can imagine that, you know, implementing a boss and building a boss and adding like an entire extra an extra bit, you know, that's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. And if hi brain Nabrik and hi Majones Kongen. I'm like looking at the notes and suddenly I can't read. If they had decided they didn't want to implement a final boss, I mean, as creators, that is their choice. But I do think that, you know, I do think that like one last fight there would have probably been not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. All in all, I really did enjoy this creation a lot. I think it's a really, really good, solid creation, and it just like it needs a bit more polish. And I think it would bring it up to a green circle. It's kind of a bit of a weird thing for me, just like looking at levels, not particularly this level in specific, where the better and beefier a level is, the stricter I tend to get as to what kind of grade to give it. So, I mean, I guess that in itself is kind of a point in the favor of the Pilgrim. Narvikuten and Majones Kongen, you both did an excellent job here. I really, really am very impressed with what you've put together, and I do look forward to seeing more from both of you in the future. I hope that this is simply a first step for you, and we see more expansive levels, but maybe not too much expansive in the point of time. Like 25 minutes is a pretty beefy chunk to do. Oh, as a last point, like if you finish the level, the creation, you'll have to do the entire creation again. There's no like roadmap or save point like in the middle where you can choose which section that you want to go through. Keep that in mind. It's you're gonna run through it, and hopefully you'll get it completed. But yeah, I've talked enough about this already, I'm sure. I had a great time. Play it if you haven't. It's gotten a heart from multimedia. Oh god, that's my old job. From Media Molecule, so probably you played it already. But if you haven't, give it a shot. Give it a couple of shots. Maybe pick the Path of the Sun, because that's the one that I did pick. Let me know how it's different from what I got. But from me, Isco, here in Osaka, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.